Hello everyone, Solid Jake here, once again in my DreamHack Austin hotel room. I got back from the Heroes Summit. If you haven't seen the Chromie video, check that one out. But now we're going to take a look at Medivh, the next hero to enter Heroes of the Storm after Chromie's coming out in June. And we can actually take a look at his abilities here. So, let's actually just take a look at his abilities before we go through and break them all down. He's got the Raven form. He's actually completely invulnerable. He can fly over buildings. He can literally fly over the core of the enemy team. He can summon portals for his team. He can provide shields for his allies. And he's really, really interesting. Like, honestly, this is a hero you don't want to mess around with if you're not feeling confident, because he's super, super high skill ceiling. So we'll get through all of his abilities a little bit more. I know that was probably pretty crazy to look at, but this is pretty much who Medivh is. So, looking through his abilities, he is labeled as a specialist, but he's like the first specialist that's also kind of like a support. They've actually labeled him as very hard, and I'd say that's adamant. He's not your typical support. He's closer to what Tassadar is, because he does provide a good bit of utility, but in a very different way. And well, let's just go through it. Medivh, all-powerful in the Warcraft universe. He has Arcane Rift. This is his lane clear, so it's a 7-second cooldown, but if you hit an enemy hero, you get mana back, and it reduces the cooldown by 5 seconds, pretty much putting it on another 1-second cooldown at that point once it's connected. So he can spam those Qs very effectively if he's hitting enemy heroes, but this is just going to get him a good bit of control. It's not a lot of damage, though. This is really just to give Medivh some presence, give him the ability to have an impact on the lane phase, and an impact on things like, say, Infernal Shrines. Very good for those moments. He's not your average assassin. He's really about the utility. His W, Force of Will, for 1.5 seconds, a targeted ally is completely invulnerable on a 5-second cooldown. This is literally a Tassadar shield that makes targets invincible. Imagine this on Illidan. Imagine this on heroes that like to dive, Greymane, whatever. Force of Will is absolutely and utterly insanely powerful. And this is what that's what makes Medivh a kind of like a cool support. He can't heal at all. He has no heals, but he can deny any incoming damage. Pyroblast, it doesn't matter. He can stop 100% of all incoming damage, but this does not make that target like completely invulnerable in the sense of like lockdown, right? They can still be rooted, they can still be stunned during this phase. They won't take damage, but they can be controlled. So they're not unstoppable with this invulnerability. So moving on to his E, this is probably the coolest part of Medivh. Now Medivh, we saw the Raven form, that's his trait, and we'll be getting to that very soon. He can fly around and he can see whatever he wants. He has got tons of vision, tons of control when he's in that Raven form, and he can summon portals. These portals are invincible. They cannot be destroyed. They last for 6 seconds, and your allies can go in and out of them. So you can use this to go over a wall. You can use this to invade enemy things. If your Illidan just needs an out, your Kael'thas needs to escape, you just give him a portal, he steps through it, and guess what? He's on the other side of the bush. And the enemy team might have no idea where he just went. They know he went through the portal, but they don't know where the exit of that portal is. So this gives Medivh crazy presence at all times. Now we have to immediately think about like what kind of crazy synergies there are. In that little video we watched at the intro, we saw ETC walk through and then mosh pit, but also just imagine a Diablo walking through and shadow charging you and pushing you way out of position. There's a lot of really scary things, and this is the kind of ability that can just shake up and build new compositions in general. I mean, just right out of the gates gives you safety, but it also gives you a new kind of initiation that is just always a threat. 20-second cooldown, not that bad. It's long for a base ability, sure, but it's still so very impactful when it comes to just about any scenario. Polybomb, its first heroic, is only a 40-second cooldown, and much like Chain Bomb, you throw this poly on one target, they turn into a sheep with wings, they look adorable, but if they walk into one of their teammates, guess what? Poof, they're a sheep too. If there's 3 people in that ring of the sheep, poof, 3 sheep in that situation. So this is the kind of thing that when coordinated well, gives great control, but also it's just a 40-second cooldown. So if Medivh is in a bad spot and he just needs to throw his polybomb out, it's great. But I gotta say that Ley Line Seal is probably the better heroic of the two. It's more or less a linear void prison. It's an 80-second cooldown, but you shoot a massive line out that locks each hero it hits in stasis by 3 seconds. It is so cool, considering that he can flank around and go in with these portals, or fly over in his bird form and throw this line that's going to lock you in place and allow your team to engage or survive or whatever. It's a really, really powerful heroic. Both of his heroics, his whole kit makes Medivh feel like a god. Like, seriously, he's a really, every single ability he has just seems powerful in a ridiculous sense. But he's not a solo support. He really isn't. He's a specialist for sure. Last but not least, we have his Raven form, and basically he gets 15% movement speed in his Raven form, so he's not super fast, but he can fly over terrain. He becomes immune to all effects, so it's not mounted speed, but he can fly over things, so it's, you know, quite the nice trade-off when you look at it that way. But he is significantly slower than the average mount. Of course, there are talents that will upgrade that, but we'll take a look at those in a moment. First, let's kind of look at some more of these gameplay videos that Blizzard has hooked us up with for this. So bear with me as I set all this up. We're gonna take a look at all of his abilities right now. Alrighty, well, this is the portal. He throws it down on the shrine. He's gonna walk through it, just kind of capture the shrine. As soon as there's someone that walks by him, boop, he's back. It's 20-second cooldown to be able to cast that portal. But of course, it is, you know, it's still so very good. Up next, we've got another ability. This is going to be his Q. And you see the cooldown actually resets. Watch the cooldown at the bottom. If you hit an enemy hero, it just refunds all of that cooldown time for you so that you can spam that. So when you're in the laning, yeah, right? I mean, if you miss it on a hero, it goes down so long. So when you're laning against Medivh, you don't really want to stand in your minions, because that's what Medivh's going to be looking to do, is connect on a hero and hit as many minions as possible. But it is very easy to avoid that. Polybomb will actually trigger indefinitely back and forth between two targets as long as they're still overlapping. So this is really going to make teams have to split up, because that could just be an absolutely devastating thing for the enemy team. Also, you know, if you have Relentless and you think, oh, it's just going to reduce the CC, it's actually just going to make Polybomb that much more scary. So there's a lot of weird interactions like that people are going to have to get used to when fighting Medivh and all of his crazy spells. Okay, up next, Medivh, Leyline Seal. This is that linear void prison that he throws out. It will lock down every hero in its path. Absolutely monstrously powerful. You can actually watch that guy one more time, because, I mean, this is just going to ruin the lives of so many people. Just 3 seconds of lockdown, allowing the enemy team to collapse on you. It's going to be very, very fun to watch big Leyline Seal plays happen very soon. Okay, up next, Pyroblast. Going through onto Thrall? Nah, man, no damage done. 1.5 seconds of absorption. 100% of all damage that comes in. It's not just one ability. Every ability that comes in onto that target for 1.5 seconds is going to do absolutely nothing. So again, it's going to give those melee heroes the ability to dive much more safely than ever before. Last but not least, we've got his Raven form. And of course, he's got a bunch of talents to support that, like basically an Oracle where he can pop and get tons of vision. You can see his vision radius isn't that great on default, but with the supporting talents, it can make that Raven form super impactful. He can fly all over the place, really get in position to throw down all of those portals and like things. And, well, that's pretty much what his abilities look like. But let's talk about the talents that he has in his kit that are going to make all of those abilities so much more powerful. So running through, well, we can look at the skins, I guess. I clicked on this stuff. Green and red, wonderful. And here we are at his level 1 talents. Stable portal, make them last 50% longer. It's quite nice. 6 seconds is the base duration, so you can make them last 9 seconds. Raven's Intellect, mana regeneration goes up by 100% while you're in Raven form. I don't remember if he was very mana intensive. I only played a couple games on him, so I'm not sure how critical this is going to be for him. But Mana Adept, that's going to increase the mana refund for hitting enemy heroes with his Q. He already gets like some mana refunded. I believe it's 30, about half of what he spends, cost to spend it, he gets returned. But with Mana Adapt, that's going to just make it, you know, more efficient for him. And then we have Portal Mastery. This is actually probably the best talent at level 1 because it gives you the flexibility to put both portals down. And you'd be surprised at how impactful this is. Having complete control of where both of the 2 portals go is just huge, and allows you to do like really crazy saves and invades and all of the above. So we're going to see a lot of Portal Mastery picked up, I believe, from our Medivh players, at least at the highest level. Going to level 4, Mage Armor. Allies gain block the first time they use a pair of portals, reducing damage from the next 3 enemy heroic basic attacks. So basically, as you decide to engage through your portal, you get block stacks on everyone, also making him even more supporty. So again, this is lending towards the initiation style of Medivh and utilizing Medivh as a resource to engage. Bird's Eye View. This is just going to give him that Oracle like ability. You just get a massive vision range, bonus 200% for 5 seconds, and he also gets the default of the 25% additional vision at base while in Raven form, so that's nice. Going down, we have Dust of Disappearance. This is going to reveal immediate area, kind of like what Crummy had. This again, it's just going to give him vision. He's going to get immediate area around Medivh for 10 seconds. It does not cancel Transform Raven. So this is, or Dust of Appearance, I think it's a Disappearance. But yeah, basically this is just a big reveal. It allows him to scout around in his Raven form. I think I might have read Bird's Eye View and confused the two, but whoops. Well, moving down to level 7, guys. Arcane Explosion. When his shield takes damage, it will explode and do damage around it. So it's a little bit more of like you're putting that shield onto your Illidan, and he's also going to get damage from that shield when he does get hit. So it's going to burst and lend to be a little bit more burst damage for his team. Not too sure how often we'll see that. Definitely seems like it could be good, but time will tell. Arcane Charge. If an enemy hero is hit, the next Arcane Rift deals 25% more damage. So it's a way to snowball those again if you're hitting heroes, and it resets your cooldown pretty much down to 1 or 2 seconds. So you can spam all those waves of energy at your enemies, and that'll get quite good. But then he has Master's Touch, which is one of his only questing talents. And Master's Touch is one of the questing talents that you have to complete before dying. So you need to hit 35 enemy heroes to permanently increases the cooldown reduction by 1 second and the damage dealt by 100. Unfinished progress is lost on death. So it's a way to like really make your queue a lot better, but you can't die during that process. So it's a high risk, high reward deal. Of course, Medivh can get out of a lot of situations with his teleport and his invulnerability and his portal, so it's quite easy to stay alive as this hero. He's a hard one to kill unless you can chain CC him for sure. Moving on, we've got the Raven Familiar. A Raven Familiar joins allies that use the portal for the first time. So the Raven will dive at the ally's next basic attack and target for 114 damage as spell damage. So basically, it just, again, leaning towards that. If you want to play your Medivh a little bit more aggressively, make that portal about initiation. That's going to make it so everyone that goes through, maybe they can have block stacks and ravens that fly in with them. Really kind of powerful, really interesting for sure. We already talked about Polybomb and Leyline Seal. These are 2 heroic abilities, so we can just move on down to level 13 and talk about the Winds of Celery. Winds of Celery. Transform Raven speed has been increased by 100%. It's only 15%, so this makes it the same speed as the Rhaegar Wolf form at base, which is quite fast. Not as fast as the mount, but still, it is quite nice overall. Quickening lowers the cooldown of your portal by 50%. That is quite good, and well, it's already a long cooldown. So we're talking about portal initiations. This is going to just make that more flexible. And then we have Astral Projection, longer range portals, just give you more flexibility. Level 16, the Circle of Protection, Force of Will shields nearby allies. That gives you actual CC and vulnerability for your team. I think just about everyone grabbed this talent. It's so insanely good. It just makes Medivh a monster. You see Blizzard crashing down onto 3 heroes. You just nullify all that damage coming because they're clumped up already. Circle of Protection, gonna do the job. nicely. Really, really powerful talent. Enduring Will makes it so that your shield lasts for half a second longer. So it's up to 2 seconds of invulnerability for that target. Also insanely powerful. And then upon ending the Force of Will, heals the target for 50% of all the damage absorbed. So you can actually turn that damage against them. I could see this being really good for an Illidan. If you're going an Illidan composition, that Illidan dives in there and takes a ton of damage to his face, but you shield it, well, guess what? It's also going to heal him afterwards and make that Illidan even harder to deal with. So that's the only way Medivh can really heal, is through damage absorbed by the shield. But still, really cool, and that is, of course, late game. So then we have Polybomb explodes 1 second sooner, and the spread radius is increased by 29%. I don't know why it says negative 29%. It should say decreased, so I'm actually a little bit confused by that. I didn't actually get to test that one out myself. Moving down to Medivh cheats, increases the duration of the stasis effect by 33% and gain the ability to redirect the ley line seal once it's active. So basically, as the ley line seal is traveling, you can hit R again, and it will give you the ability to basically, as long as you don't have quick cast on, you can aim it once you hit R, and it'll show you basically a line to cast a full duration one again. You can wait till it travels its full length, and then quickly hit R and then redirect it back exactly where it came from and just cover that entire line again and double CC that hero. Also, you can just you see that you missed the team and you want to redirect it to go directly up, and it was traveling all the way right. It can shoot straight up in a completely different angle and lock down the whole enemy team. It's so very powerful, very fun to do too, and it's a lot of fun to watch. Arcane Brilliance, this is kind of cool, as you activate to instantly restore 200 mana to all nearby allies and provide them with 10% bonus ability power for 10 seconds. So this is quite similar to the Radius of Tranquility around Malfurion. He basically just pops this big burst of energy around him. Everyone gets mana back and ability power. So in a mage composition, if you ran Li Ming, Kael'thas, Medivh, Tassadar, and Johanna or something as your warrior, and that's your composition, and you pop this late game and everyone throws all their abilities in, it's gonna hurt real bad. But compared to some of his other talents, it's gonna be hard to pass them up and pick up Arcane Brilliance. But it is regardless a really cool and unique level 20 talent. Guardian of Tirisfal, minions and catapults hit by Arcane Rift instantly die. So he just, if you need that lane clear, that you're behind late game, you're sitting there at level 20 with 3 keeps down, and you think you can bring the game back. Grab Guardians of Tirisfal and just walk into a lane and just laugh at the minions as they bow to your power. Super cool. I love the fact that there's a lane clear talent at level 20 that's going to be reactionary in those scenarios. I think that's the only time we're going to see heroes or Medivhs pick this up, is when they realize they need to be able to quickly deal with these big the big lane pressure if their keeps are down. And it's, I love that. I'd like to see, more things like that in this game, where there's this late game unique decision you can make based on your current state of the game. Last but not least, he has invisibility, where you temporarily stealth a target ally for 20 seconds. Now, if they do anything, right, they lose their stealth, but 20 seconds of ambush on a 10-second cooldown, you can just, it's yo, hey, Kael'thas, just sit here, stealth, and wait for someone to walk by and then kill them. Okay. It's really cool. It's a lot of fun. I'm loving Medivh. Everything about this hero makes me nerd out. He's super powerful, maybe too strong. That's, it's kind of hard to say that. The 1.5 seconds of invulnerability certainly is crazy. But I'm looking forward to him. I think Medivh is going to be insane. He launches after Chromie, should be coming out sometime in June, and he's gonna be nutso. He's really just gonna be insane. First pick, first ban material for sure. Not a solo support. He's labeled as a specialist. He is not a healer, but he does have crazy utility and will be shifting the compositions that we see. He's going to change up the average layout that we see. He's going to enable heroes like Diablo potentially to be a little bit more played. Maybe we'll see an Arthas walking through the portal with Frozen Tempest out and just shrekking people. Double warrior might be a thing more often with him. Double warrior, double support. I don't really know what to expect. Medivh is going to really just shake things up. In Korea in particular, he's going to just change everything, the way that they play the game. And the portals are just so insanely powerful. So Awesome stuff, guys. Well, be sure to hit that subscribe button if you enjoy the content here. There will be much more of this coming out soon. Obviously, we have the Chromie video, so check that one out if you haven't seen it. These are all of Medivh's abilities and talents here that you can see, and many other content creators are going to be releasing very similar stuff, so check their stuff out as well. And you might even see some cast games around the net from all this great stuff. Big shout out to Blizzard for bringing me out here to the summit. It was an incredible experience to be able to sit there and talk to developers and see what's going on with the game. And well, last but not least, we have a video coming up with the whole new ranking system. I'll be talking about, exactly what the ranking system is going to be for Heroes of the Storm, what Season 1 is going to look like, the rewards that exist for Season 1, and all of that good stuff. Once again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.